The state of Utah began its implementation of new testing last year. This test, called the SAGE, Student Assessment of Growth and Excellence, measured the student understanding of the state core standards. The state adopted new standards in hopes of helping students become better prepared for college. As part of this process, state leadership has adopted an initiative named Prosperity 2020. More information can be found at the website referenced on this page. The new standards measured by SAGE are the expectations of what students are to know and be able to do. It is up to the school to decide on how these standards are taught. This slide explains the difference in some of the core items. Please push pause if you'd like to further review these items. The way questions are asked on the computer has significantly changed as well. As you see, many of the questions require critical thinking skills and are no longer a multiple choice, which can turn into multiple guess on end-of-level assessments. The test questions were developed by a committee of teachers, reviewed by parents and the public, then administered for the first time in the spring of 2014. A computer adaptive test is one that becomes harder as the student answers correctly and easier as items are incorrect. It eventually comes to a point where they are getting as many wrong as they are getting right. Your student scores are reported as a scaled score. This number represents your individual student's performance. Math and language arts tests have vertical scales where the science doesn't. These examples are displayed on the next slide. As you can see, student expectation of performance increases as the students get older. This chart displays the proficient level of students and cut points on SAGE assessment scores. You will also be given a proficient level for your student. Students receiving 3s and 4s are considered proficient. To help determine the percent of students who should be proficient at each level, educators compared the performance of Utah standards to national standardized tests. As you can see, our SAGE assessment scores were very similar to the ACT and NAEP scores in many categories. The big thing to remember is that you can't compare past CRT scores of proficiency levels. The SAGE is a very different, much more difficult assessment. It is measuring different standards in a much more difficult way. There are fewer students who are proficient on the SAGE than have been on prior CRT scores. This isn't an indication of decrease in student achievement, rather an increase in expectations. Families can receive their individual student reports starting Monday, November 10th in the front office. Attached to this email is a document that can help you understand what the scores mean. To learn more about SAGE, you can visit schools.utah.gov, choose the assessment department when you click on this department area, and then on the left-hand side of the assessment department you will see SAGE communication resources as well as other SAGE info to help you learn more. So what does this mean for your students here at Lincoln Academy? As administration and teachers, we are in the process of reviewing the data from last year, identifying weak areas and creating plans to address these weak areas and help students be prepared for the end-of-level test this year. You will see your students doing more online practice tests to help prepare them for not only the type of testing, but as well as to measure their understanding of the content. We hope to help your student become more proficient going forward and hope to help all students at our school. We, once again, thank you for your support of Lincoln Academy and for making Lincoln Academy your school of choice. You can pick up your individual student scores at the office starting on Monday.